Guess what we're gonna check out for our last video? Guess what we're gonna watch? Anyone want to take a guess? Anyone want to guess? Too late. I'm gonna tell you. We are going to watch That Electrician. That Electrician, Angry Old Veteran versus 700 Redcoats. This should be good. This one should be good. It's a nice, even, it's a nice, not too long. So this will take us right to the end of stream. So this is gonna be, this is the get off my fucking lawn. We gonna like this. Are we ready, chaps? Here we. I will wait for the TTS. I can see the TTS coming. Well, I mean, why do you think we're gonna go late after Nashi? Not very nice. Okay, TTS borked, so sorry, Xanax. Alright, here we go.
Ah yes, the official state hero of Massachusetts. Today we're talking about Samuel Whitmore, quite possibly America's first anti-hero and the most gangster old man of all time. But first, a word from our sponsor, because this video is brought to you by Operation Good Boy. They make all kinds of dog-related products, from supplements to treats to toys to dog poop picker-upper bags, and Mushu absolutely loves the Made in America treats ready to eat. Jake, do you roll over? Roll over. Roll over. Come on. You got it. No, do the whole thing. You got to do the whole thing, dude. Roll over. Roll over. Roll over. You're making me look bad on camera. Roll over.
Oh,
Fine.
he's still bestest boy. He's still bestest boy.
Good job. So yeah, check him out at OperationGoodBoy.com.
He's
Use
got
the code
some chub, Pete.
15% off.
He's got
Let's
some
get
chub
back
on
to
him.
the video. All right, Samuel Whitmore. We don't know much, but here's what we do know. He was born in Charlestown, Massachusetts in 1696. From there, he goes dark. We don't hear from him until 1721 when he gets married to his wife, Elizabeth Spring. Then he goes dark again. There's nothing of him in the historical record until 1744. At the age of 48 years old, he would fight in King George's War. And during that war, he held the rank of captain, leading an entire platoon of dragoons during the siege of Louisburg. If you don't know, dragoon is just a fancy word for cavalry, so think of like Malfoy's dad from The Patriot. Same thing. So that's cool, whatever, but here's the important part that nobody else ever brings up. Like I said, he's a captain, which is a way bigger deal than most people make it out to be, and here's why. There's really only two ways that you can become an officer in the British military at this point in time. Way number one, you were born into a wealthy British aristocratic family, and Daddy's got
a lot of money, and he buys your commission. This is where the concept of buying your commission came to play. You may have heard that in movies or TV shows or something, especially in olden times, where they talked about buying your commission. That's how it happened. They bought the commission. The other way that Nick is about to say, I'm sure, is you work your fucking ass off to get the rank of captain. You have to be a fucking Chad back then to actually earn the rank of captain.
A lot of money. That's like 95% of the British officers at this point in time. Or way number two, and way less likely, you are a complete badass doing gangster shit on the regular, and they absolutely need you to lead some men. Given the fact that Samuel's just some random colonial that was born in Massachusetts, it kind of narrows down which category he fell into. So he and his men help lay siege to Fort Louisburg. That goes well. They take over the fort. From there, the war is over, so he heads back home to what is now Arlington, Massachusetts. From there, he goes back to doing seemingly the only other thing he's good at, because I'm not kidding you, this guy does two things his entire life. He plows stuff, and he fights wars. When he's not fighting wars,
he plows stuff, does he? I'm sure his wife would not disagree.
He's back at home, plowing his fields and plowing his wife, because this dude has...
I say it, it happens. Okay, who is it that's going to see unsub again in my chat? Mannix and who else? When you talk to these guys, You better bring this up how Nick and I are sharing the same fucking brain cell. Okay?
10 kids. I am not kidding you. There was only 2 things on the historical record that even proved that this man existed for the next.
Yeah, I heard 10 kids, blades. I know that may sound impressive, but from my time spent in Newfoundland, 10 kids is not all that shocking. 10 kids is actually common. At least from like the boomer area, the boomer era. 10 children was pretty standard. So that actually doesn't shock me. Okay, Cosmic Manix, you better tell Nick that we're sharing the same brain cell.
10 years. One is the sheer amount of birth certificates where he is listed as the father. I mean, the mother is always his wife. He's not cheating on his wife. It's just they're having a bunch of kids. And second, and my most favorite detail of this entire story, when he came back from war, he had a very, very decorative, ornate, almost gaudy French officer's sword covered in gold and rhinestones and jewels and all kinds of shit. And it became his prized possession that he would show off to all of his buddies in town. And when they would ask him where on earth he got that, the only thing he would say is, and I quote, "The previous owner died suddenly." Fucking, I acquired it. All right, so fast forward 10 years.
Plowing. They got more fitting music.
It is now 1754, and Attila the Whitmore over here is approximately 58 years old, and the
Attila
French
the
and
Whitmore.
Indian War breaks out. Now, does Sam have to go fight this war? Absolutely not. He is a 58-year-old man in the 1700s when the life expectancy is 60. He should be keeling over any minute now, but he also has 10 kids, so he's literally like, honey, I gotta go beat up the French again. Okay, bye.
Yeah, oh my. Oh, fuck it. Oh my. That is a gorgeous musket. That is gorgeous. Look at the deep. Oh, okay. I'll pause. Yeah. Like, my musket does not look anywhere near as good as that. No, blades, I'm being genuine, like, that is a beautiful musket. The wood is lightened, and all of the accents, including the hammer, have a really lovely, yes, I do. I have a, I'm not sure if it's a Civil War or Revolutionary War musket, sawed off actually. The barrel is actually sawed off. And I believe it's a Civil War era carbine rifle, which unfortunately is in very poor shape. But yeah, I do. I do actually have a musket. It's in rough shape, but I do have one. Who knows? Maybe I'll take a photo of it and post it on the Discord for you guys. And yeah, 9 daughters. Yeah, he's going off to war.
War is basically the Kingdom of France versus the British Empire, and both sides are backed by different Native American tribes. This is supposedly the war that Mel Gibson's character fought in The Patriot, and presumably where he got his cool tomahawk from. Now, I know what you're thinking. Did Sam Whitmore get a cool tomahawk too? No, he didn't. But what he did get was 2 matching dueling pistols that were super cool. And you're never going to believe this, but the previous owner died suddenly. Okay, look, it's not stealing if they don't exist anymore. That's just the rules, I guess. So Sam and his men beat up on the French yet again. He acquires some fancy dueling pistols, and then he heads back home. Okay, fast forward again.
I'm gonna do it every time.
It is now 1763, and Sam Whitmore is 67 years old, and the Pontiac Rebellion breaks out. Surely he's going to sit this one out, right? Absolutely not. He grabs his French sword, he grabs his double dueling pistols, his musket, and he heads off to war yet again. So he goes, he fights in that war for a little bit, comes
Jesus!
back home, at which point he decides that he's going to get involved in politics. So somewhere along the line, he starts rolling around in the political circles, he finds himself at a fancy dinner party, and there's this guy there that's running for House of Representatives, and his name is John Vassell, and he represents everything that Sam hates. Sam is a small town farmer that's just trying to plant his crops and bang his wife, and this guy is like the big powerful merchant out of Boston, the big city, running the ports, making all this money. He wants to get into office to make laws more beneficial to him so he can be rich, and Sam is just trying to get by. So at this dinner party,
I kinda, man, he just decided to get into politics is kind of underwhelming. I kind of would like to know, like, okay, this guy's a farmer and an absolute badass soldier. Why would he want to get into politics if all he wants to do is just farm and go to war? I wish there was something like, say, explaining why.
Sam, who's not scared of anybody, informs him, hey, by the way, you're no better suited for office than the horse I rode in on. By the way, my horse's name is Nero. He's parked out front, and he's not worth 5 pounds, which I'm not an expert in translating old-timey colonial speak, but it sounds like he's saying you're not worth a horse's ass. Go fuck yourself. At which point, John Vassell gets very upset and decides that he is going to sue Sam for public defamation for the price of 1,000 pounds, which is a shit ton of money back then. So the entire town finds out about this lawsuit, and they all show up to court to actually watch the trial, because Sam represents that grizzled old man that's just saying what's on everybody's mind, but nobody else has the balls to say. And he goes in and basically turns this entire trial into the roast of John Vassell, ends up winning. Sam doesn't get sued, at which point...
Xanax, you mean Old Man Logan? Is that what you're meaning? And he is like Old Man Logan? Where he's just like old and a warmonger and don't give a fuck? Sounds about right.
He slaps him with a counter lawsuit on the spot and ends up countersuing him for $200 and wins. So that kind of launches Sam's political career. Fast forward again. It is now
It had to be done.
1765, and the British Empire has been fighting France for quite a while, and it's getting expensive. They need to make more money, and the best thing they can come up with is a Stamp Act. Basically, they're going to charge the colonials a tax on every single printed piece of paper that they come up with. This is like the modern day equivalent of if every time you made a phone call, sent a text, or visited a website, you had to pay a tax for it. And people are absolutely outraged. And
Nick, for the love of God, stop giving the government ideas. The government will take that idea and fucking run with it. Nick, for the love of God, shut the fuck up.
Sam is infuriated. I mean, from his point of view, he's been fighting the French for the British Empire, and now he's gonna have to pay an extra tax just for doing it. He's so mad that he ends up becoming a hardcore revolutionary. But he's also like a 70-year-old man, so he's mostly just serving on committees being like, hey, maybe America should be its own country, we shouldn't pay so much in taxes, yada yada yada. Fast forward again.
I told you I would do it.
It is now 1773, Samuel Whitmore is a 75-year-old man, and the British government has just rolled out their new and improved strategy for making even more money, the Tea Act. Yeah, they're going to start taxing the importation of tea, which will go down in history as one of the greatest ideas of all time. Now, at this point, Sam is serving on a committee representing his hometown of Cambridge, which would later become known as Arlington, and that committee sends a response to the British government in regards to the Tea Act that basically says, fine, if you're going to charge us more money, we're just not going to buy your tea because, and I quote, if we fail to assert our rights, we will dwindle into supineness. Now, like I said earlier, not an expert in translating old-timey colonial talk, but it sounds like Sam and his committee just told the British government that we're not going to buy your metric leaf water because we're not going to let you guys fuck us. That's why. At this point, pretty much everybody in America is pissed off. They start smuggling tea to avoid taxes. The Boston Tea Party happens December 1773. From there, people just start stockpiling guns and gunpowder and supplies, getting ready for war if one should break out. Now, fast forward April 1775, General Thomas Gage is appointed the military governor of Massachusetts, and he will be residing in Boston, which is has been turned into a British military stronghold. At that point, General Gage decides, hey, you know what? I'm going to get proactive. I'm going to stomp out this whole rebellion talk right here and right now. I'm going to take 700 men, an entire regiment, and I'm going to march them out to Lexington and Concord. While they're in Lexington, they're going to arrest those stupid, annoying revolutionaries, John Hancock and Samuel Adams, and then they're going to continue marching to Concord, where they're going to burn down all the stocked up military supplies. So
it was at this moment that he knew. He fucked up.
British military starts making preparations for a huge movement, at which point revolutionary spies find out and they decide to let everybody know. And when I say they decide to let everybody know, I mean a silversmith from Boston by the name of Paul Revere is going to take off at midnight, ride through the entire countryside, going house to house, telling everybody that the British are coming. And guess whose house is between Boston and Lexington? Sam motherfucking Whitmore, that's who. I'm not shitting you. It is like 99% sure that Paul Revere showed up at 78-year-old Samuel Whitmore's house sometime in the middle of the night and was like, hey, just letting you know, the British are coming. At which point he's like,
get off. I want to play a game.
Then presumably Paul Revere's like, okay, whatever, I gotta go warn everybody else, and Samuel goes back to bed. That morning, April 19th, 1775, the British are marching and they're almost to Lexington, and they are cut off by 77 Minutemen, led by a man by the name of John Parker. John Parker orders the Minutemen to, quote, stand your ground, don't fire unless fired upon, but if they mean to have war, let it begin here. So the British roll up with 700 trained professional soldiers and tell these 77 Minutemen, literally farmers that just picked up whatever guns they had around, and told them, disperse you rebel scum. At which point the Minutemen are like, nah, we're good. We're going to stay right here, and so are you. And that's exactly what happens. They just stand there staring at each other from across this field, with the British officer not knowing what to do, because he has to get to Concord to get rid of these supplies, because...
That's kind of funny. This is a British officer with a huge army of men, and a bunch of farmers are just like, yeah, we're going to stay right here. And he's just like, fuck, I've never had a bunch of farmers not cede to my wishes. It's so funny. Like, officer.exe stopped working because he could not compute someone would actually tell him to kindly fuck off.
Because those were his orders, but he also doesn't want to open fire on these guys because that will mean the start of the Revolutionary War. So they just stood there, seemingly forever, in formation, ready to throw down, waiting for the other guy to make the first move, and suddenly from the American side, a gun goes off. Nobody knows who fired, nobody knows why, but this was the shot heard around the world that would start the American Revolution, and for all we know, it could have been some old farmer that just dropped his gun. From there, all hell breaks loose, both sides fire on each other, 8 American Minutemen are killed, and the British advance towards Concord. The surviving Minutemen take off to go tell everybody that the Revolutionary War has officially begun, as the British spend the next 4 hours searching through Concord, gathering all the military supplies, and lighting them on fire. Everybody in the surrounding area sees all the smoke from the burning supplies, and they think that the British military is burning down the entire town of Concord. Because of that, 2,000 Minutemen show up to fight back, at which point the British are like, oh shit, and they start retreating. They run across a bridge and start ripping the planks off of it as they go, at which point the 2,000 Minutemen and 700 British soldiers fire upon one another from either side of this bridge as the British continue to retreat. The British...
Can I just say, now granted this isn't art. Okay, Peeve, have a good night. I understand this is probably an artist representation. I'm guessing the bridge probably is not all that big anyway. Can you imagine a firefight like this happening at this range? That would be even with muskets, because muskets are notoriously not accurate. But the sheer amount would be fucking insane. Okay, good night, Pepper Shark. Have a good night. That would just be absolutely crazy to have this kind of firefight. Yeah, I mean, and that's how it was done. That's why the British they when with their formations, why they had those line formations, because it literally was accuracy by volume. Well, but that's the thing, Falcon. It's not so much a choke point because they're not going through the bridge. They're on either side of it. And they're just like throwing walls of lead and hoping something hits. That just, when you're looking at it from the perspective of someone who is grown up with hyper accurate weaponry, it's just mind-boggling to think of these tactics and the weaponry involved.
Retreat. The British now have to march 18 miles back to their military stronghold in Boston in their stupid high-vis redcoats, and every single American with a gun between there and Boston is taking pop shots at them from the wood line.
Oh yeah, Barb, I know.
26 redcoats go missing, 175 are wounded, and 73 are killed, and 3 of them at least are from Samuel Whitmore. So we cut back to Samuel Whitmore. He's 78 years old, chilling at home, presumably plowing something. What? We don't really know. And he just hears gunfire going off in the background, and it's getting closer and closer. And then he remembers, oh, that fucking kid woke me up last night in midnight, told me the British were coming. Maybe that's what's going on. So he goes, he grabs his fancy French officer's sword, both of his dueling pistols, and his musket, and he goes out to the main road that the British would...
Wait, what did I miss? What did I miss?
Line. During this retreat, 26 redcoats go missing, 175 are wounded, and 73 are killed, and 3 of them at least are from Samuel Whitmore. So we cut back to Samuel Whitmore. He's
that Samuel Plow. What? What are you talking about? Plow? What are you talking about, Plow? Real.
Go missing, 175 are wounded, and 73 are killed, and 3 of them at least are from Samuel Whitmore. So we cut back to Samuel Whitmore. He's 78 years old, chilling at home, presumably plowing something. What? We don't really...
It flashed by so quick. I think I was looking at you guys when it happened. The meme must flow.
We don't really know, and he just hears gunfire going off in the background, and it's getting closer and closer, and then he remembers, oh, that fucking kid woke me up last night in midnight, told me the British were coming. Maybe that's what's going on. So he goes, he grabs his fancy French officer's sword, both of his dueling pistols, and his musket, and he goes out to the main road that the British would be marching past.
You know what? Is he was plowing at 78?
And he's going to stand by the stone wall next to the main road and just wait for the fight to come to him like the complete badass that he is. At this point, all the younger Minutemen are running up to check on this old man like, hey, what are you doing? You shouldn't be out here. And if you are going to try to do this kind of stuff, at least go out in the wood line or in like a second-story window to hide yourself like the rest of us so you don't get yourself killed. To which Samuel Whitmore responds, and I quote, "If I can only be the instrument for killing one of my country's foes, I shall die in peace." Which I think we can all agree is gangster as fuck. At this point, this man is literally the living embodiment of old man strength. He's just that old, grizzled, veteran Viking that's got one more fight left in him and wants to die in battle so he can go to Valhalla. So he stays there, he loads his musket, he loads his pistols, and he waits. And he waits, and finally the British come marching right down the road, dead at him. As they get close, he crouches down behind the stone wall with his musket and waits until they get to point blank range, and that's when he pops up over the wall, aims his gun,
I said get off my lawn now,
and fires, immediately killing one redcoat on the spot, drawing both of his pistols, killing 2 more redcoats, drawing his sword, and charging into over 500 soldiers on his own. He is then immediately shot in the face. He falls to the ground and is somehow still alive, so he reaches to grab one of his guns and start reloading it, at which point the British run up and stab him with bayonets somewhere between 6 and 13 times. Apparently, after the first 5, they all kind of blend together. He is then clubbed in the head with the butt of a rifle and left for dead, as his body lays there, mangled and lifeless, as the British continue to march through the town on their way to Boston. 4 hours later, the townspeople notice that his corpse starts moving. So they pick Samuel
Okay, I wish I had it. I wish I had the Monty Python sound clip up. I'm not dead.
Samuel up, they get him over to the doctor, they alert the family shows up to the doctor, at which point the local town doctor, Nathaniel Tufts, is like, the dude is 78 years old. He wasn't prepared to handle a fall down the stairs, let alone getting stabbed 13 times and shot in the head. Okay, like there's no way this old man's gonna make it. But like I said, his family members start showing up, and guess how many direct descendants Samuel Whitmore has at this point in time after all
I'm gonna say 35. I'm going 35.
all that plowing. Go ahead, give it a guess. Say it in your head.
Wait. Actually, Wolfie, I got a better one. Over 9,000.
Okay, you got your number? Okay, he's got 185 living descendants, okay? He's got 5
Jesus.
generations beneath him. He's got kids, grandkids.
I think I can speak for every woman in this family.
Great-grandkids, great-grandkids squared, and great-grandkids cubed. 185 people showing up to the doctor like, hey, save grandpa. At this point, poor Dr. Tufts is like, dude's gonna die, but I'm not about to tell 180 grandkids that, so I'll try my best. So he does what he can.
I know,
He
Taurus.
bandages him up and sends him home with his family, and they take care of him for the remainder of his days. And when I say the remainder of his days, what I mean is, let me check my notes real quick. I mean that he passed on February 3rd, 1793. This motherfucker lived for 18 more years and passed away at the age of 96. And to commemorate Samuel Whitmore, there's actually a monument where he made his last stand. You said that he was 78 during his last stand and 96 when he died, and that clearly says that he was 98 when he died and 80 during his last stand. Why are you so dumb? Okay, look, I understand your point, and I also can kind of sort of read, and I realize the irony because this is literally written in stone, and I'm telling you that it's wrong, but it is wrong. That is the only source that says that he was 98 when he died and 80 during his last stand. Every other source says that he was 78 and 96. This has been proven to be false multiple times, but they don't want to change it because the monument's already so old. So yes, I'm sticking with what I said.
Okay.
But the most important part of this picture is to actually zoom in on the house in the background. That's Samuel Whitmore's original house where he lived his entire life, and it's still around today as a historical site in Arlington, Massachusetts.
I mean, beautiful house. Can you guys see it? I'll move you guys, just in case you can't see it. And I'll move myself real quick. Like, it's a beautiful house. And
Cheer 100 to celebrate his last stand. Next time we should watch the video about the last stand from Sabaton history.
Baby Jack. But, like, this is, you know, the obvious care to maintain this house shows the kind of respect that they had for him, that such care has been taken to maintain his house like this for, the last almost 200, for the last, like 200 years. I mean, that's a deep level of respect for an American hero.
And that monument is in the front yard. So if you're not picking up what I'm putting down, what I'm trying to tell you is, in conclusion, this has been the story of America's first and oldest gangster, a 78-year-old grizzled veteran that woke up on the first day of the American Revolutionary War and decided to casually go 3-0 while telling the entire British Empire to get off his lawn. Thank you for watching. Best way to support the channel is go buy some merch over at thefatelectrician.com. Quack bang, out. I've never been more excited for a future t-shirt design. I can see it now. America's original gangster, get off my lawn. Samuel Whitmore with 2 cross-dueling pistols.
Fight the French. Fight in politics. Destroy the British.
Sword. It's gonna be fantastic.
That was excellent. That was excellent. A fantastic way to finish off the night.